This program is designed to provide general information with regards to the subject matters covered. This information is given with the understanding that neither the hosts, guests, sponsors, or station are engaged in rendering any specific and personal, medical, financial, legal, counseling, professional service, or any advice. You should seek the services of competent professionals before applying or trying any suggested ideas. The information contained in this podcast is intended for informational purposes only and is not a substitute for individual professional legal advice. The podcast information was carefully compiled from vetted sources and references. However, R.O.S.E Resources outreach to safeguard the elderly cannot guarantee that you will not fall victim to a scam. Let's talk about scams. It's the must-listen show for anyone who wants to protect themselves and their loved ones from scams. Every Tuesday at 8 a.m. Pacific Time on K4HD Radio, Joyce Petrowski, founder of R.O.S E, and her guests will provide valuable insights and practical tips on how to recognize and protect yourself from scams. And now, here is your host, Joyce Petrowski.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Let's Talk About Scams. You can find more resources on our website at roseadvocacy.org. You'll find our social media links on there, and you will also find where you can sign up for our emailed or sign up for our mailed newsletters. We do one of each month. So today, I want to talk to you about tax-related identity theft. It is the end of February, and we are in tax season. I know it's everybody's favorite season. I'm saying that sarcastically. So this is a personal experience that I am currently going through. So a lot of people file tax returns every year. They might file them single, head of household, married filing separately, married filing jointly. And in early September of 2024, so close to 6 months ago, it was actually on my birthday, and I opened up a letter that said it was from the IRS. And as I was opening it, I thought, boy, this is weird. This letter's coming in just my name, but we've been married filing jointly. I've been filing with my husband for like 30 years. Why is it all of a sudden just in my name? Well, I opened the letter up, and guess what? Somebody filed a tax return in my name and Social Security number. So it said, if you, and the letter also said that they had flagged it as potentially being fraudulent, which I was happy that they did that, because it is a fraudulent return. I was very surprised and thankful that they flagged it and didn't just automatically process that return. And then it said, if you did do this, if it was your return, do this. But if this wasn't, you need to call us at this number. So I called the number right away and talked to somebody, and I had to go through a verification process. And you are going to have to give out personal sensitive information, because they have to verify that it's you that they're talking to. So you want to make sure you're calling the right number. And once I was verified, they did tell me that a tax return had come in, filed under my name and Social Security number. Now, I knew it was automatically fraudulent because my husband and I had not filed our tax return yet. It wasn't ready yet. And in fact, we didn't file ours until probably early October of 2024. So I confirmed that this was a fraudulent return. I was on the phone with them for a while. As you know, calling the IRS, you might have to sit on hold for a little while, but I went through everything with the IRS representative. I did ask, I was curious, can you tell me the address that this return came in under? And she said, no, I'm not allowed to give you that information. So I don't have any information on that return other than it had my name and social security number on it. And she told me that I had to fill out this identity theft affidavit form and submit it into the IRS, which I did. And that started the process. And she also told me that if we were expecting a refund on our tax return when we filed it, that we would not be getting that until this fraudulent return was cleared out of my account. And it could take up to, and I'm trying to remember, she either said 530 days or 630 days, but still, whether it was 530 or 630, that's a long time. If you're expecting a refund to all of a sudden have that refund held up and not get it. So we had our accountant put in that, knowing that the refund would be delayed, we said just apply the overpayment to the next year, which is 2024. Well, then in December, we get a letter from the IRS saying my husband got one and I got one separate. And it said the amount that we are crediting, the amount of your overpayment that we're crediting to 2024 is zero. So the money is still there at the IRS, but it's in quote unquote limbo right now. It's just sitting there. And I did try to call back in December, and I called the IRS. I talked to them and they said, let me put you on hold. I'm going to go through and look up your account. And this was after I waited probably 30 to 45 minutes on hold. I got disconnected. So I called back and again, waited probably about a half hour that time, got a hold of someone, and I explained why I was calling, and they wanted to put me on hold. And I said, now, wait a minute. I was put on hold when I called just recently and I got disconnected. Please don't disconnect me. And they're like, we're not going to disconnect you. We're just going to put you on hold. So it worked. I was on hold for a few minutes and they pulled up the account and came back on and went through everything. And they said, okay, I'm going to have to put you on hold again because I want to process this out of your account, clear this fraudulent return out of my account. And I thought, oh, great. It's only going to take a couple months and not a couple years to get this resolved. And so I'm sitting there and on hold, and then I get disconnected again. And it's frustrating. I'm sure it's frustrating to a lot of people, to have to wait on hold and then talk to somebody only to be disconnected and then have to call back again and wait on hold. And so it's just really frustrating. And I said, you know what? Forget it. It's December. It's the holidays. I'm just going to let this go. I'm going to call them, in the first couple months of the new year. Now it's on my calendar. I do need to call them this week or next week to see where we're at with things. But there is something that the IRS implemented. I want to say 3 years ago, 3 to 5 years ago. I don't know exactly when they implemented it, but it's called an identity protection pin, an IP pin. You have to request it. You have to set up an account with the IRS. You can do it online. You go to irs.gov, and that's .gov because it's a government office, and just type in, identity protection pin, and it'll take you to the page. And you can go through the process of requesting this PIN number. It's a 6-digit number, and you'll get a letter in the mail assigning you the number. And then every year, you're going to get a letter in the mail from the IRS assigning you a different number. So it changes every year, which is a really good security measure. Now, once you've been assigned this, it has to be on your tax return, or the return will be automatically rejected. And So even if you file your tax return, if you have this IP PIN and you do not put it on your tax return, it's going to get rejected. So you have to have it on your tax return when you file. Now, I had learned about this probably about a year ago, and I immediately went in and got my husband one. With him being the first spouse listed on the tax return, the tax payments and stuff were in his social security number. Any money we had sitting in withholdings and stuff like that were all in his social security number. So I'm thinking, okay, well then I don't need to get one. Well, then as I was doing some research, later on last year, I realized, no, I really should have one because my name and social security number is on the account, the joint account. But what was my mistake? I didn't take the 5 to 10 minutes right then and there and set up an account for myself and get a PIN number. Had I done that, and I'm assuming that that tax return was filed later on, and it would have been filed after I got the PIN number, then it would have been automatically rejected. So, and I wouldn't be going through this right now. It just would have, that fraudulent return would have been rejected because it didn't have the PIN number on it, and I wouldn't be sitting in this mess right now. So, as I said earlier, you can get the the identity protection PIN by going online. It's probably the quickest way to get it, but understanding not a lot of people, or there are some people that just choose not to request this online. So you can also call the IRS when you go into the IRS website under the identity protection PIN information. It'll have their phone number of where to call to get your PIN. So you can, again, they're going to have to verify you. So you're going to have to give over some personal sensitive information. So you're going to want to make sure that you have that verified phone number to talk to the IRS, or you can request an in-person appointment and go in and do it in person. Now, calling to do it and requesting an appointment and going in is going to take longer. I don't know if you're going to request an in-person appointment, how long it takes to get that appointment. I don't know if they're scheduling like within a week or if it's going to take a month or a couple months. I'm not sure on that. So again, the quickest way is going to be to do it online. And just know that when you do get issued that IP PIN number, that is personal confidential information, and you do not give it to anybody. You put it in a safe place, and the only time you should take it out to use it is when you are signing and dating your tax return. You're going to need to have it on that tax return. So you're going to want to make sure you keep it in a safe place. You don't want it just hanging out on the counter and then you have somebody over and they snap a picture of it. So keep it in a safe, locked place. Let's see. So I mentioned earlier that the PIN is valid for just 1 year. The IRS will automatically send you a letter with your new PIN each year. And if both spouses are on the same account, which is usually married filing jointly, you're both going to need to have a PIN. So make sure both of you get an IP PIN number separately. You have to have two separate accounts because it's going to go by your name and social security number. And as I said before, only share that PIN with your tax preparer if you use one. And they're going to file electronically. They're going to need to have it to file the return electronically. But if you're going to mail it in, you're going to sign it yourself and mail it in, I don't think you really need to give it to your tax preparer because you can just write it on there when you sign the return. The IRS also has a way, if you are to lose that letter with that PIN number, you could log back into your account. So you're going to want to save that login information and it'll tell you what your PIN number is. Or they also have a phone number that you can call. Again, they're going to have to verify you. that it's you that they're talking to before they give you that PIN. So, the other thing is, I've in our presentations, I've talked to people and, they haven't filed tax returns for a number of years or maybe just a few years. It's still a good idea to get this PIN. You're not going to need it to put it on a tax return, but people can still file fraudulent tax returns in your name and social security number, even if you don't file tax returns. And then though, if you don't have that PIN, those returns could get accepted and processed and be part of your account with the IRS. And so you're going to have fraudulent returns tagged to your account. So even if you don't file tax returns, you still want to get the PIN. It takes a little bit of extra time to get it the first time. But then, as I said before, every year you're going to get a letter with your new PIN number. So this is one of the things that we talk about in our fraud awareness and protection program when we're out meeting with seniors and presenting our program on how to protect yourself, the anatomy of a scam, how your information gets out there. We talk about AI, but we go through a lot of resources and tips and tools. And there's a 20-page packet that we give out with to every attendee. So you're going to, if you're interested in learning more about that, you can get on our website at roseadvocacy.org. That's .org. And the menu bar at the top, the far right side says schedule your next presentation. You can just click on that and fill out some information and we'll be in touch. Or you can give us a call or shoot us an email. It's info@roseadvocacy.org, or you can call us at 602-445-7673. So don't forget, take 5 or 10 minutes, get online, set up your account with the IRS at irs.gov, that's .gov, and get that identity protection PIN. This is a great safeguard to prevent fraudulent tax returns from being attached to your account, because you do not want to go through what I'm going through right now and having to take a lot of extra time to, every now and then call the IRS, find out what's going on, the status of what's going on. And, like they said, it could take up to 500-600 days for this whole thing to get processed. And this whole thing to get resolved, I should say. And get this return off of my account. And this is even, it's been almost 6 months and it's not resolved yet, and they didn't even process the return. So could you imagine how long it's going to take if a fraudulent return had been processed? I mean, it literally could take a year, 2 years. So get your IP PIN, your identity protection PIN with the IRS. Make sure you get one for both spouses because you're going to need it to protect your account. And then put it in a safe place. And make sure when you do file your tax return, you write that PIN number down for both spouses. Because then even if you file a tax return and you don't have your PIN written down, it will not get accepted. It will automatically get rejected. So once again, you can find more resources on our website at roseadvocacy.org. Sign up for our newsletters. We have an emailed and a mailed newsletter. You will find our social media links on there, and you'll find some more resources. And if you're interested in making a donation, you can go to the donate button. And we have an event coming up. We have a golf tournament on Friday, April 11th. And we are looking for golfers, we are looking for sponsors, and we are looking for donations for our silent and live auction. So reach out to us and let us know how you can help out. Thank you, and see you next week.
Well, that's all the knowledge for this episode. Tune in every Tuesday at 8 a.m. Pacific Time on K4HD Radio at k4hd.com as Joyce explores a variety of knowledge so you have the power to make scam protection your healthy habit. And until then, feel free to reach out to Joyce and let's talk about scams.